So today we're going to be looking at fitting an aftermarket reverse camera to this Ford Kuga. So this is the aftermarket camera that I purchased from eBay, and I will leave a link in the description. It also comes with a multi-plug harness connection that goes in behind the dash on the Sync 3. It has the Sync 3 in this model Kuga, and also it has the Forscan OBD connection which goes into your laptop to be able to program this in, which we'll do later. And just a bit of a disclaimer, if you are watching this, obviously you do this at your own risk. I say I'm pretty used to programming and stuff like that. I've done bits and pieces in the past with diagnostics, but if you were to do this, you do it at your own risk. We also need some trim tools, which I have there. And also here, which I've already started to trace into the car, this is the RCA cable, which goes from the camera all the way to the front of the head unit on the Sync 3. It just plugs into the back of the camera once it's all connected and fitted. And it has two wires that come out, earth and alive, which will tap into our reverse light. Right, okay guys, so that's the camera there. As you can see, it comes with a nut, and that's got to be threaded through. I have to drill a 6mm pilot hole, and this light cluster here has to come off, and then the camera is going to sit central up into there. To do that, we have to take all these trims off. So we're going to start by doing that now. We need to start with the handle. So there's a cover pops off there, 2 screws in, we take the handle off, and then we take all these trim panels off so we can then get access to the electrics behind there. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that there, but there is 2 screws, Phillips screws, just holding this handle on. So next we need to take the reverse light cluster off, which is all this bit here. And to do that, there's 4 10mm bolts all the way along the back of this tailgate, and that's them there. If you can see that, there's one there where my finger is, and there's one there, and there's one through that hole there, and then the other one is just on the end here. So to do that, we're just going to use a socket, the long reach 10mm extension. On some of the Kuga models, they just have the light cluster along here, where this is it's the Mark II, but the next generation, you have to take these lights out on the back, and it's dead simple to do, and I'll show you that now. It's basically just a long grommet that goes up, and you unloosen that, and then there is one on this side. It'll just screw out. So that is the back cluster off. As you can see there's 2 light bulbs that go in for your number plate lights. They just spivel around and you just pull them out. Also there you'll see there's little white ball couplings that go up into the plastic. They're a bit of a pain to get out, but you've just got to take your time and prise it gently and it will come. Like I say, you've got to take the 2 lights out to be able to pull it off the back. Dead straightforward. And that there is where the camera will go. And to do that, we have to drill a hole on the underside. So I'm now going to measure where the camera is going to go. So I measure this plate, it's 18 centimeters long, and I'm going to try and leave it central, roughly around about there. And then what that'll do is, when the thread goes through, it'll just be flush with the outside of this area here. So I'm just now going to measure this, and then what we'll do is we'll just half it, and hopefully we can get it central. And if you look at this angle here, that is where the end of the camera needs to be. So roughly this is where the hole will go in the center. So we'll measure that now. And what I'll do is I'll just mark it. So it's 18 centimeters long, we'll go for 9. It's roughly around about there. You can see that. And then what we're going to do is stick that to the outside so it's flush, because that means it'll go that way. And then the screw will go, the bolt will go through roughly round about there. So it's the bottom line, it's where we need to be. So we'll crack on and get that drilled now. So I'm using a 6mm drill bit to drill the hole. So now all I'm going to do is get a file and just clean this down, and a little bit of sandpaper just to make sure it's all sanded down nice and flush. So if you see there's a little pad that comes with the pack, and all that does is slot up through the screw, and it just keeps it nice and clear and tight on the surface, and keeps any water, ingress or anything getting in. And then once it's the underside, you just stick the nut up and tighten it up. So that is it there. I've just pushed it on and it's sticky and it sticks straight on. So now we're going to push it through the hole, and then we'll peel this side off, and then we'll thread it through. With it being 6mm, it should just screw in nicely. See there, looks like it's going to go flush once it's down. And then we're going to put the nut through, and then we'll tighten the nut up. Yeah, so the nut is 14mm. Obviously you don't want to go too daft with it, just so it's nipped nice and gently, you know, don't go mad at the thread. And that is it there, guys, all nice and tight and in and secure. So now what we need to do is get this back on the car, thread the wires through, and we'll get all this put back together, and then we'll start wiring it in. So this here is where we will be pushing the cable through for the camera. All I'm going to do is just use a little screwdriver right next to that and just put a little hole in and then thread it through. Just enough to get the cable through. So that's it all back together now, and nice and tight and secure. Both lights back in. It looks nice and flush, and it's obviously out of the way of the registration plate. So this is the RCA cable, and I've already ran this through the top of the headliner and all the way along the top of where the doors are, and I've just pulled the trim back. So I've already done that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay, there's a channel that goes in the headliner, a bit of a channel just below where the side airbags are, so they're well out the way of the airbags. And I have seen somebody who run it down and they run it along the sills, but for me, you know, I've done these before where I literally just try and thread it through the headliner, and there's never been no issues. So let me know in the comments what you think. I can't see anything in the guidebook where it says you shouldn't run cables underneath an airbag. It comes out the headliner here. I've took this grommet off, these grommets, so they just clip out, and then we need to feed this cable, this RCA cable, through, and then what it will do is it will run all the way around and then up into there where the reverse light camera is, and also that is the end of the camera, so it will connect to that, and that is the end there. This side will be alive, this side will be alive in your earth, and then that will tap into your reverse light, so we need to find which one is the live in the earth of this. There's a multi-plug here, so I'll do some testing on that. I'll stick it in reverse and then see which one is the live. So we'll feed that through there now. Right, okay, so I now have threaded that through, so that's the end there. You can see, and I've connected the RCA cable. I've just put a bit of tape around it just to secure it, but it has gone up through this grommet, and then I've pulled it out here. And then what I'll do is I'll cable tie this all the way around this loom here, and then it's going to come out and that is the camera end just there, and the connection, it's just a plug connection that plugs straight in. And then, as I mentioned before, this is the reverse camera side, so I'm going to run the live and the earth to there, and I'm just going to use some Scotch connectors just to connect them together, but I'm going to check to see which one is the live now. Right, okay, so you can see there I have the ignition on, I have the reverse, I've put the car in reverse so you can see the reverse lights on. Now all I'm going to do is just pull off the multi-plug, and then we'll connect this to earth somewhere on the car. So we're just going to use this pen, it has a little bulb inside, just to check where the 12 volt is, so once it lights up we should know that we've hit 12 volt. These wires are in a loom going to the back of the light, so all I've done is I've just put a couple of nicks in, just using the Stanley knife blade. You can see one there and one there, and once I put it in reverse and I touch this, I'll know which one will be the live. So I'll put the ignition on, I'll put it in reverse, I'm going to touch each one. Once this lights up, I'll know which one is the live going to the reverse. So that's lighting up there, I don't know if you can see that. And then the other one is doing nothing, so that's the so this one here is the live. So all I'm going to do is just put a bit of tape around it so I know which one's which. I don't know if you can see that there. We're now going to get these two wires and then wire it into that, just using some Scotch connectors. So that is it in there now. I've run the cable all the way around, cable tied it, nice and neat. I've taped the RCA ends just around the connections, they're just pushed together. There is a little red wire that comes out the RCA on both sides, that doesn't connect to anything. So I've basically just crimped that off, and then I ran the live in the earth up, and I've just put some Scotch connectors on the live and the earth, and I'm going to leave them for the time being. I'm not going to put this cover back on because I'm going to start with the front and then take the Sync 3 out, so we'll have to take all the shrouds off at the front. And I've ran the cable just through the bottom, there's like a bit of a channel, and all the way down it'll come down where the front door pillow is, and then to the glove box, and then up into the Sync 3 unit. So yeah, that's it. And then once I know it works, I'll come back and I'll tidy this up. I'll just put some tape around them, some insulation tape, and yeah, so that's the back more or less done. So this is the harness that come as part of the kit, and it's dead straightforward. You just unclip the back of the Sync 3 and then just plug it into that end. Sorry, plug it into that end there, and then that there now goes into the back of the Sync 3. Okay, so that is it, all connected there now. That is the wiring loom in. Pretty straightforward. That one was a little bit tough to get in, but you just got to persevere with it, and it did go in no problem. So now we have this RCA cable, which I've ran behind the glove box, that'll come up through here, and then we'll connect it into there, and then we'll put everything back. So that is everything back together. The only thing I need to do is just put the cover on the side of where the glove box is and just tidy the cable up there. But I've just fired the older laptop up, and now we're going to stick the OBD reader in, which goes in underneath here. The cover there, so you just pull the cover off. I've already had it off, just pulls off, and then it plugs into there. So we'll connect that up, and then we'll run Forscan, and then we'll try and program this in so we can get the camera to work. It's also worth noting that with this being the Kuga to 2019, it has the Sync 3. Some have the Sync 2 in. The new models also have the Sync 3, but if you go into general settings, then scroll down about sync, and then it tells you there what type of sync system you have in. That's a software version, and that's a Sync 3, if you can see that there. So it's always worth double checking before you do put these cameras in, just to see what software you are running, what sync you're running. First of all, you have to download Forscan. You see there, it's Forscan download. Just type it in Google, and then you go and you download Forscan. So I've downloaded this to the desktop on my laptop. You also need to register. You get 2 months free, so that's what I've done. I've just used the 2 month free trial, and it's dead simple. Once you register, put your details in. They then give you a key code, a number, and you put that into Forscan, and it literally, gives you activation for up to 2 months. So this is Forscan. I'll just open it up now. And this is what you're greeted with. Now, I do have the OBD reader plugged in to the port just down there, and then as you can see, this cable then runs into a USB-A on the side of the laptop. So for this, we need to put the ignition on. I've got my keys up there, so the ignition's now on, and it's basically saying use a computer or another device while operating a vehicle is not safe and not recommended. So I'm just going to click OK, and then we're going to go down to the left hand side. There's a little connection button there. All we do is just click on the connection to vehicle. It then says please make sure the following initial conditions are met. The ignition key is on, which it is. The HS or the MS CAN switch on ELM327, if available, is in HS CAN position, and also make sure that the vehicle is not moving. So this doesn't have a switch, and basically on some of these OBD readers there's a switch that you've got to switch backwards and forwards. This one doesn't have a switch, and it come with the pack. So because it doesn't have a switch, I'm going to click OK. An adapter is not optimized for maximum performance. The adapter should be able to work on higher baud rate, but that would improve performance very significantly. Would you like to adjust the baud rate now? And I'm just going to put yes. That'll do. So now what it's doing is it's going to go through its checks. If you see down here, it's basically connecting to the ECU. And now I always recommend that you save a file or a copy. Anything that you do on here, save a copy, and then if you have any issues, then you can go back and then reprogram it from there. It's like to reboot it. So it's just going through the checks there now. It takes about a minute or so, and that's fine. So if you see there on the left hand side, there's loads of different options, and we are going to go to this option here, which is configuration and programming. So we're going to click on that, and then we need to go for IPIM module configuration. So we're going to double click on that, and then we're going to go down to play at the bottom, and then it's doing its thing. So it's checking vehicle configuration. Please make sure that the module version is correct. Okay, and then it brings up this screen, and it's doing its thing. And then we need to go down and have a look for reverse camera. See if I can find it. Reverse gear, reverse vehicle, reverse camera. So that's it there. So we're going to double click on this one, and then we're going to enable. Click on that, and then the little tick, and then we're going to click right down the bottom. If you can see that there, guys, we're going to write that to the ECU. Please confirm these changes, and then we're going to click the arrow, and then it's configuring there on the bottom. So it says that the block programmed successfully. Please cycle the ignition off and then back on. So we'll do that now. Okay, so that's off there now, and now we're going to switch it back on. We'll wait for that forward light to go out. So ignition on, and then the sync should do its thing. It'll need to reboot. It's rebooting there, and that is, we'll click OK, just loading map, and there you have it, guys, in reverse. And there is the camera working. Yeah, so if you see that there when I put it in reverse, this also has the guidelines on it, which is pretty cool. And we also have the sensors for the around the car. So this does actually bring that system on. That is the camera now installed. Now the only thing that I have left to do, probably in another vlog, is I'm going to put a front and rear reversing camera on, and we need to get the tow bar sorted. So that is it, guys. I hope you like this. Please like, subscribe, and give us a thumbs up, but it really does help the algorithm. So until the next one, see you again. Cheers, bye bye.